All right, guys. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I haven't really had a time to set aside to make it, and couldn't really figure out how I wanted to present it. But had a few minutes here, so I wanted to talk about the topic of balance. And balance meaning, how do you juggle physique enhancement, the lifestyle, and things that come along with it, with other things in life that are outside of that. So you see this talked about all the time, and I think a lot of people make a lot of great points. I think a lot of people have a really good message when they talk about balance, but the one problem that I see is that you can't define balance. As a general term, you can't define it for a population, and even just within the physique enhancement world, you can't define balance for each and every person or even a group of people. It varies so much from person to person, and I found that with clients. And one of the things I really try to drive home with people when they ask me about balance, whether they're coming off a contest, how do they make the transition, or how do they stay on track year round, really commit to the lifestyle. And the thing that, like I said, the thing that I try to drive home is the fact that you need to be okay with what you're doing. It needs to be sustainable. You need to be, I don't like to use the word comfortable, because there's going to be times where you're definitely uncomfortable if you want to advance at what you're doing, but sustainable would definitely be the word for it. So like I said, the biggest thing is you have to be okay with what you're doing. You have to take into consideration the other commitments in your life, and that's going to vary a lot from person to person. My definition of balance and someone else's definition of balance might vary greatly. I lean pretty heavily on the strict side of things, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. That's how my lifestyle is set up. That's how my life is set up. That's just, that's how things have always been, and I'm fine with that. What's balanced to me might drive someone else absolutely insane after a few weeks, even someone that's a competitor. Or there might be people out there that are even stricter. I don't know. I'm not, it's just something that you really have to find within yourself. And I don't think that there should be anybody telling anyone else, this is what balance is, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And if you're not, you're not practicing moderation, you're not practicing balance, and you're going to fail, or you're not going to be able to sustain it, or whatever it may be. Like I said, a lot of people make a lot of good points, but at the end of the day, everyone's definition of balance is going to be entirely different, and I really don't think that anyone should be putting a label on it. So, you need to take into consideration other commitments in your life outside of the lifestyle, and I think also understand, and I jotted a few notes here, I think it's also important to understand that compromise or sacrifice, whatever word you want to use, not exactly the same word, risk versus reward, things like that, that matters. So if somebody tells you, well, this little thing and this little thing's not going to matter, it's about balance, then that might be true. It might aid in stress reduction. You're not worrying about such and such minute detail, and that's helping you indirectly. But at the same time, a lot of people that are great at what they do, there's going to be some sense of unbalance there. It's hard to achieve great things with exceptional balance. I think that to some extent you can, or you can at least find sustainable groove, but at the same time, to be completely in that middle ground and achieve great things and get the most out of what you're doing, I should say, optimize what you're doing, get your full potential. You have to be okay with being slightly, leaning towards one side. And I tell clients that, maybe it's a first time competitor and they're worried about how the post show is going to go, and what they're going to do, and their free meals after the show, and or just during the off season. How are they going to sustain that? Maybe they've never had the transition before because they're a first time competitor, or they have not. They weren't successful in their last off season. They want to learn how to sustain things year round, and they ask me, well, how many, would this work, and would this work, and would this work? And I'm of course I'm going to give them direction. That's why I'm there. But at the same time, we might find that certain things just don't work, and that's causing more stress than anything. And it's not really beneficial at that point. So we might have to restructure things. And then at the same time, they're going to ask me, well, is this going to hurt me, or is this going to hurt me? And my answer is typically not a direct answer. My answer is usually more thought provoking. My answer might be something like, well, if you're okay with it, it's probably only going to detract 1 or 2% from your potential, but it's not going to give you 100% results. And if you're okay with that, I can work with that. We could still make it work pretty darn well. And I think that answer throws people off sometimes because they probably want me to give them a cut and dry answer, but the point is that they have to be okay with what they're doing. And some people are like, game on, let's go. They never falter. They're fine. I can see in their attitude, just the way they correspond back and forth with me. They're all about it. They're good. Other people, that's just not the case. So I just like to say thought-provoking things and make people think about what they're doing, and think about the actions that they're taking, and say, hey, you might not quite get as much out of this as you could if you were to do X, Y, Z versus what you're doing now. But that's on you, and we're going to structure a plan around that. And I'm not just going to throw you by the wayside. It's not like somebody's just saying, hey, can I have 2 cheat meals a day? That's it's not something like that. It's usually smaller things. But I just like to make people think and kind of learn how to form that balance on their own. Because at the end of the day, like I said, sustainability is the biggest thing. And I think it's really important that people don't have these ups and downs during off season or contest prep, or these abrupt transitions between the two, or between goals, between fat loss, between muscle gain, and they can really just sustain a steady lifestyle and be in it to win it all the time, whatever that means to them. It just makes everything so much smoother. The results are so much smoother, and it's not an emotional roller coaster on the way. A lot of people hear me say that, well, the only difference between contest prep and an off season is the amount of food will change, and probably the amount of cardio will change. Really nothing else changes. I see a lot of people, it's contest prep, everything changes. Well, I mean, if you are living the lifestyle all the time, the transition's pretty smooth. It's not really anything. But again, that's going to be finding that sustainable groove for yourself. And I hope you guys find this video useful, and just don't let anyone define balance for you. It's something that you have to learn on your own.